Frank Farmer to see Miss Marin. Alexander Graham Bell to see Miss Marin.
Welcome to Bowties, sometimes called myself, Ashley, and Ed. Good evening, Ed. How are you today?
Yeah, good evening, Ash. How are you? Long week, tired, coffee in hand tonight.
I was going to say it's not your usual wine, just a coffee this week.
Coffee
Mind you,
this
I've
week.
got a personalised mug, so that's good. That's good. Mine, yours just says E. Mine says the man, the myth, the living legend.
That about describes you, Ash.
Well, I like to think so. Now, before we start, I've had a bit of feedback from a listener called Matthew. He's decided that I need to let you probably speak a little bit more, Ed, because after last week, I barely let you get a word in edgeways. So I've taken it on board. We'll try and share this week. Okay, so Matthew, if you're listening, note taken. Thanks ever so much. Right, so what are we talking about this week? Well, we are going to be talking about The Bodyguard, not the 2018 BBC series, although that was very good. Maybe we might cover that, but the 1992 classic film starring Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston. And I get a feeling, because I put the feelers out to Ed before we did this, I made him watch it because, like a lot of films, Ed perhaps hadn't seen it. So I asked for some immediate feedback, and I think Ed said something along the lines of, "I've watched it." So let's start off there then. So Ed, how did you feel after you'd watched The Bodyguard?
Well,
don't just say I watched it, but I need a bit more.
Well, Ash, I can certainly say The Bodyguard is a film I've seen.
Yep. Well, there we are. Good.
Honest opinion, not my cup of tea. I mean, it's well made, it's well directed, it's an old fashioned sort of blockbuster popcorn movie. I just want sometimes a little bit more from it. I sort of guessed it within the first 20 minutes who the real villain was and what the red herrings were. And I was hoping all the way through it I was wrong. But I wasn't, unfortunately. Really well acted. You've got one of the Kemp brothers in it. You've got Kevin Costner. You've got Whitney Houston, who's a surprisingly decent actor. I don't remember the name of the lady playing her sister, but she's a really good actor. Who's also really well acted, really well made. Could be a bit short. Could do with trimming, maybe 25 minutes or so. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those films you'd probably watch on a plane. I think that filled the length of a flight. It's not going to stay with me forever. It's never going to be my favourite film. It's not a bad film by any means, just not my cup of tea.
Well, Edward, I'm in shock. I'm shocked. Well, though, to be fair, though, I can see where you're coming from. But the 90s, especially for me, and Kevin Costner, I mean, he did really some good films. I mean, okay, maybe not Waterworld, but he did, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Field of Dreams. He did The Bodyguard. Exceptional actor. Don't really hear much about him now because he's more of in a band now. He runs his own band. He's a lead singer in a band. But I mean, I personally loved it back in the day. I've watched it not as recently as you, obviously, because I made you watch it. But I've watched it probably within the last 18 months. I still quite enjoyed it. I mean, it's one of the ones that I bought on Blu-ray. I know you love Blu-rays, but I'm not. I always like to. I'm mean, basically, so I buy DVDs. But I did splash out to buy this one. I think it's a fantastic film in the sense of I just love the character of Frank Farmer, like cool, calm, collected, doesn't take any messing from anyone, never really scared. He doesn't matter what the situation is. You can sort of feel that he's got the upper hand. Just a fantastic character. Based, well, not based on, but I suppose in terms of looks apparently and stuff like that, based on Steve McQueen, from what I can gather. I suppose you can see that a little bit, but I just love the story in the sense that I think Kevin Costner as a character is it's a good character for the everyday man, really, if you see what I mean, yeah, because he's top of his game, but he could just be anyone, so it's not about how big you are, it's not about how strong you are, it's about your technique, how you fight, and all those sort of things. maybe I'm going off on a tangent here because I'm just focused on Frank the Farmer, but I just love that character. I really do. Whitney Houston, yeah, quite good in it. Better than I thought she would be. It was her first film though, to be fair. So she'd never done any acting before. She turned up to the audition for this in her normal makeup, and of course that doesn't really bode very well under film lights. So halfway through the audition, they had to stop it because literally she was just all the makeup streaming down her face. Bless her. So they had to redo it. But Kevin Costner, I mean, he was very instrumental in this. He was one of the producers, so he's heavily involved in it. Little things like little bits of trivia, like he signed off on the poster, which is him carrying Rachel Marron. It's not actually carrying Whitney Houston, though. It was actually Whitney Houston's stunt double that he's carrying in the poster, stuff like that. So he signed off on that. He wanted Whitney Houston. I think he said because he spoke at Whitney Houston's funeral, and I think he had said that they couldn't get her for whatever reason, and he was like, well, we will wait. So I think this film was delayed for quite a bit as well because he was really keen on having her in the lead role. And it's got an amazing soundtrack, the most successful soundtrack of all time. Well, Ed's looking at me now. I think it has, Ed. It's the most successful soundtrack of all time, with over 37 million copies, which actually is getting pretty up there in terms of the best-selling album of all time, which is Jacko. Whilst you can't see him, Ed was just like, he just cringed at me. But then again, Ed listens to some weird and wonderful stuff, so we'll see what he's got to say.
That song that she murders the Willie Nelson version of "And I Will Always Love You." It's just one of those songs that, oh God, please stop being number one. People, please stop buying it. It's like that love. It's like that love is all around from Wet, 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 and the song from the Robin Hood film. They're just dreary.
Are you all right? Are you actually all right, Ed?
I'm absolutely. I mean, you think this came out? What was it? 1992.
Yeah. And it's not Willie Nelson, by the way. It's Dolly Parton. Yeah.
But there was
don't worry. I just want to pick you up on these little technical things, seeing you having a bash in it.
But there was a scene in the diner where there's a man singing it. So was it Chris Christopherson then? Remember where he takes it to the diner?
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, there are. Yeah. I think it does. There are songs that appear within the film again. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. I'll let you off for that.
It could have been Willie Nelson. It sounded like Willie Nelson. Anyway, my point being, at the time, I was 19, 20, and it was the big Nirvana, Pearl Jam, grunge thing, and then you've got this abomination of a howler coming out and being number one forever. And when you've got the likes of Smells Like Teen Spirit and the 10 album from Pearl Jam and things like that, and it just seemed to stick out like a sore thumb with what was actually happening in music at the time. And it just one of those ones that just came on. I had to turn the radio over when I was younger.
Are you finished?
Sorry, I'm finished now. Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, I'd just like to say it's been a great 7 or so months doing Bow Ties Are Sometimes Cool. We've decided that it's probably time to call it a day, folks. And, there we go. Now, okay. Yeah, but in the context of a film, okay. I mean, compared to music, popular music or metal or whatever you want to listen to, okay, I can see where you're coming from. But as a soundtrack, though, as part of a film, no.
Maybe. It's just, I don't know. It's probably just not a style of music I like. It doesn't do anything for me. It leaves me completely cold. I'm so sorry.
It's okay, Ed. We can't, you can't always be right, can you? So that's fine. But
however, to that thing you were saying about Kevin Costner's character, there's one particular scene which I thought was the standout scene in the whole film. It's where I think his character's he's either doing the washing up or making a sandwich or something in the kitchen, and the big guy comes in who's fed up that he's sort of taken over in security, and he's obviously drunk, and he tries to start a fight with him. And this fella is like 3 times the size of Costner's character.
Right, yeah.
And literally, Costner's character almost with one finger just takes him out. And it's absolutely brilliant because, like you said, he doesn't look like a genuine sort of everyday stereotypical tough guy. He looks like the sort of fella that would work in a bank or in a building society or an estate agent or an architect or something like that. And so you'd never ever think twice he was that much of a hard case. But the way he takes down that man without not even breaking a sweat, and then throws the knife, you're just like, yeah, you would not mess with this man, but you wouldn't know you're not meant to mess with this man, and that's what makes him good. So I'll give him that. I'll give him 10 out of 10 for that scene.
We've been talking now, although maybe not in the edit. I think we've been talking for about 10 minutes now, and that's the first time that Ed's made any sense in this show today. I actually think that I never really been able to do it properly, but I also tried to do handbrake turns and J turns on private property. I would never do it on the public road because of this film. I thought that was great when he's teaching the chauffeur how to drive the limo and do all the things. And again, you know what? I love that. I just love the way that piece sets up. So, for example, he's teaching the limo driver, how to do all these different things, evasive driving and pursuits and so on and so forth. And it's kind of like, yeah, great. And that kind of comes into the scene a bit later then during Queen of the Night, when suddenly she gets knocked off the stage. And obviously Frank Farmer's already set this up that, we're going to have a decoy car, but you're going to be driving the car and we're going to be out the back. Just sort of those little things that, I suppose that is what, professional close protection officers and stuff would do. But I like it. So we have a look at some facts, Ed, because there are a few facts on this one.
Well, we love our facts.
So the first one, well, there was a fact about Dolly Parton, but we'll move over that. I think she was just sort of saying how fantastic she thought Whitney Houston had done a job on it, but not everyone seems to think that, so we'll move on from that one. Right. This was Whitney Houston's first movie. Yeah, we know that one. Whitney Houston would give Kevin Costner singing lessons on the set in exchange for acting advice. Oh, well, I mean, he has gone into singing. I've not really heard too much of his stuff. I did invite him on this show, but he's never actually returned my message. He hasn't actually seen it, to be fair. And he would never do it anyway, but you don't know unless you ask, yeah?
Do you know what style of music he does? Is it country or blues or folk or
country western? Country western, yeah. Does he? I think he tours quite a bit with it. I think. I mean, that is his been. I mean, obviously he's going to make a bit of a movie comeback now. But I think he's been doing that for many years. I think it was just one of those things. He was mega successful, wasn't he, in the 90s? I think he'd made some money, and then he just decided to live, be sensible. I think a lot more people should probably do that, really. You see a lot of crash and burn, don't they? Yeah? But really what they should be doing is make the money and then just try and live a sensible life, not extravagant, and you'll be all right. And I think that's pretty much what he's done. He's gone and sort of lived what he wanted to do, which was more music, like live his hobby, really, I suppose, yeah? So let's have a quick look. Now, during the airport scene, when the camera revolves around the actors Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston, so it's the one where it sort of spins around them, isn't it, when they're sits there? The centrifugal force, that's a difficult word at the end of the week, centrifugal force was so extreme that the camera operator fell off when he was filming it. However, it still kind of worked out, so they used it in the film. Well, there we are, great. We'll love that one. The film was pitched 67 times and rejected 67 times until it was commissioned, which is why they think that maybe the Academy Awards at the end is the 67th Academy Awards. Off the back of that as well, I do know, I'm not reading this from here, is that all the Academy Awards people, all like and the winner of, I don't know, best soundtrack or best whatever, the people that were the names of the people that were read out as the winners were all kind of people that were working on the films, like boom mic operators and art directors and stuff like that. So it's quite a nice little touch, really. Right. So just have a quick look here. No, I'm not reading this here, but I have read before as well that the house that they used is, which is a lovely house, is Rachel's house is the same one from The Godfather. I've only seen The Godfather once though. I think I do recognise it. I'm sure it's been in something else as well though. It's a great house. It's very easy to get into.
Yeah, you just give sort of all sorts of strange names like Nikola Tesla and James Watt and President Truman, and they let you in.
Yeah. Anything you want. Yeah. Right. So Gary Kemp, who plays Cy Spector, Rachel's publicist, was a founding member of the 80s British band Spandau Ballet, who wrote the biggest hit, True. According to Gary, Kevin Costner told him that True was his and his wife's song. Well, it's not strictly a Bodyguard fact, but it's a fact about people in Bodyguard. So we'll have that. We'll have that.
Yeah.
Kevin Costner, I read somewhere, and this is a thing. I think he must have been asked in an interview, is there anything that you would like to change about the Bodyguard? To which he responded that he would have it so he wasn't shot at the Academy Awards at the end. Now, I don't really have any elaboration on that. Presumably, he just means a different venue, but I mean, he's definitely has to still be shot. That's like a very big part of the film. That's what makes the film then sort of work, I think. Yeah, I mean, if you were gonna, I don't understand why you would do it anywhere else, really. Or maybe I might just been too short-sighted. I suppose he could have been shot at like the house and stuff. You know, when the assassin went there and started booby trapping the boats and the stuff. I suppose he could have been shot there. But I do think the fact that his character was shot at the Academy Awards kind of makes it good.
Yeah, it makes it a lot more dramatic. It gives it a good ending.
Yeah, don't agree with you, Kev. I mean, obviously, if you want right of reply to chat about that, just
More than welcome to come on.
Message us. Both eyes are sometimes cool. We'll have you on. Yeah, you probably get the pound style criteria to be on there, so don't worry. All right. The second highest grossing movie in the world for 1992. Now, you see, the thing about that fact is, it doesn't even start off very well. The second highest, so it's not the top. You know. And then in the world, you picked it up a bit. Worldwide, good. In 1992. Oh, for God's sake. It's only in that year.
But you think about it, it didn't come out till late 92, did it? So it made, I think that song was number one in about November and December.
Yeah, it was.
And October.
Yeah, because it was a great song, Ed. Not in your world, but in everyone else's, every normal person's world. Yeah, I mean, sorry, Ed. Yeah, come on.
But so the film must have come out around about then. So if it's become the second highest grossing film within a couple of months is pretty damn good.
To be fair, actually, yeah. When you put it like that, I see where you're going with it. Listen to what Ed said. That's a really very complimentary fact there. So Ed, we're now going to score it out of 10. What would your score be?
I give it a generous 6 out of 10. Definitely
generous. Well, actually, yeah, because I suppose it is really given how you described it. Because I am actually only going to give it an 8.5 out of 10, even though I've been the one sort of saying, yeah, it's great. Like I say, it's probably in reality. I think you've alluded to it. It's just probably got some nostalgia. You know, it was a time of my life when there was various things going on. It's just a feel-good film for me, and probably my top 10 films. Even though I would rate a load of other films higher than it. And on that bombshell, as I like to say, we have been Bow Ties Are Sometimes Cool. I'm Ashley. Goodbye from me.
And I'm Ed. Goodbye from me.